Hey, what is up guys, GuitarRock here, welcome back to another Nikke Goddess of Victory video. So right now we got the Diesel Winter Sweets banner going on right now, alongside with the Maiden Ice Rose rerun, and of course, Guillotine Winter Slayer. So a lot of you guys have asked me, hey GuitarRock, is it worth pulling any of these two rerun banners right now for both Guillotine Winter Slayer and Maiden Ice Rose? So hopefully I'll break down these two Nikkes right now, but just keep in mind that next week, on I think 12th of December, or is it 11, we will be getting one more banner that's going to be for Brit. That is going to be the next character that you guys have to also consider as well, because as far as I know, she's a very strong character. Like Brit Silent Track, she seems to be a very good support for burst too. At the end of the day, you need to be able to know who is going to be the best for your account. So hopefully in this video, I'll try to break it down a little bit for you guys, right? So let's jump into it. Now, I first want to break down both Maiden Ice Rose and Guillotine Winter Slayer because they are practically last year's winter or Christmas character. Who is going to be better between these two in your account? Like just in general, right? If I have to like take a guess depending on the situation, I need to look at your account individually to be able to give you guys a better idea, alright, or a better advice. But Maiden Ice Rose is just going to be better in most situations, alright? So she's just by far the better character. They both are going to fit in very different roles depending on what you're trying to do. Now, Maiden Ice Rose, she is going to be a burst 3 character, as you guys can see right here. And she specializes in buffing electric teams, alright? So if you have electric team and you are focusing on that, and it seems like right now, depending on when you guys start playing the game, electric characters have way more meta characters compared to something like water, alright, which that's where Guillotine shines, right? So if you're trying to get the best out of your value, right now Maiden Ice Rose is going to be the better character in my opinion, just because of the entire electric roster that we have right now, with Cinderella being one of the strongest one ever, and she's just going to be a very perfect candidate to buff your Cinderella. Now there's going to be two characters that can fill that role in buffing Cinderella. Alright, one is going to be Maiden Ice Rose, the other one of course is going to be Swimsuit Anise. Now Swimsuit Anise is also another limited character. Now if you guys did miss out on her, then you want to consider getting Maiden Ice Rose. As you can see right here, this is going to be what makes Swimsuit Anise extremely strong, affects electric code allies, increase everybody's attack, alright, by 55%, and increase reload speed by 49%. Now in my humble opinion, I do think that Swimsuit Anise is going to be the better buffer in most situations, just because she is not reliant on the enemies. So what do I mean by this is as long as you pair her in an electric code team, right, she's going to be able to buff their attack and their reload speed by this huge amount right here, right? This is a pretty big amount, and that's where Swimsuit Anise shines. Now Maiden Ice Rose on the other hand, she depends on the enemies, so that's going to be a little bit of a small distinct right there. Now if you're trying to tackle solo raids, union raids, where you know what element the enemy is, sure, that's where she shines, right? But if you're trying to go into story or any of those like other general content, like for example like Tribe Tower, for example, if you're trying to pull in those situations, then it's going to be much more difficult because she is very reliant on the enemies. What she does is her main kit basically buff the superior elemental code attack damage. Alright, so basically this means that she is going to increase your elemental damage bonus for electric code allies. So the enemy has to be water for you to be able to benefit from that, right? So that means if the enemy is not water type, that means you're not going to be able to get this particular buff right here. But this is going to be quite useful, and it's quite niche in a very good way, because attack buffs and also like attack damage buffs, those things do get diminished over time, right? Because like a lot of burst 1 and burst 2, for example, if you guys obtain Nayuta and then you have Little Mermaid, Little, maybe Crown, you have that to fill up your burst 1 and burst 2. So getting another attack buff on burst 3 ideally is going to diminish the you get diminished value as you stack more of the same type of buffs, but giving you superior elemental code attack damage is going to be something that's very, very useful that Maiden Ice Rose do have, right? Specifically, but again, because of this being too specific to the enemy, you also have to keep in mind that it is going to be really dependent on who you are fighting. Now in solo raids, I would say you are definitely going to get a lot of usage out of Maiden Ice Rose. She is going to be able to improve the caster's attack as well. Now this one is going to be quite general. Now she is going to be a very odd character because you can see right here, this only activates when MP is replenished. Now how do you replenish MP? Basically you enter full burst and then you can basically stack your MP. Alright, this MP can be accumulated up to a maximum of 12. So the idea of using Maiden Ice Rose is you don't usually burst until the end of the battle. So basically she's a burst tree that just stays there as an off burst, and then once you stack 12 MP, then that's going to be where you can see her burst skill comes in, right? Deals damage equal to 1300% of the sum of 10% of the caster's final max HP and the caster's attack. Now the attack continuously based on the current MP, because every time you burst you are going to basically use the MP. So the idea here is to not use the MP until the end of the battle, so you get as much damage as you can because you are just about stacking the MP. All in all, you're basically using her as an off burst character. That means you need to bring 2 other burst free characters for that to work, right? So that's going to be something to consider. And once you reach like before the timer is going to end, the last final character to burst, that's going to be her. Then she can basically do the burst damage that she can basically provide to the team at the end. Now one thing that I'm a big fan of her is going to be in terms of her budget friendliness. Alright, I don't think she needs dupes as much, and I think she's quite cheap to build. You just need to focus on her skill 2. Her skill 2 is going to be the most important one because this is going to give you the most buffs, right, in terms of increasing the attack percent and all. So if you can max out the skill 2, that's good, right? The skill 1 is like whatever is going to increase the max HP without restoring her HP. Basically, it's going to stack her up to be a little bit more tanky. But the burst skill is going to be the one that also do more damage, I guess, because she bursts at the end. But all in all, very cheap character to build. If you just want to like build her as a support, you can do that, right? Ideally, most players are going to use her as a support and not use her as a DPS. That's going to be her best role. So in most situations, skill 2 the priority. Alright, if you can either go for 4-7-4 or you can go for 7-10-7, or you can go for 4-10-4 if you want to, right? That's going to be something that can be considered. Now just like with anything, I recommend going for Resilience Cube for her. I think Resilience Cube is going to make the most sense because she is going to be a rocket launcher, right? Now if you want to, if you care about PvP, then you can go with something like a Guillotine Cube, which I do use her in PvP as well. This is going to increase her charge speed, and that's going to be what matters the most. And in terms of her substats for the Overlord gears, you either want to go with elemental damage dealt, and of course attack percent is still going to be very, very important. And then you can either go with max ammo capacity or charge speed or charge damage for the third priority. Yeah, those are going to be what's generally used for her. Now let's talk about her team, because I thought this is going to be pretty interesting. If you are looking to make the best electric team for her, one of the best team that you can make for Cinderella. Alright, again, the focus here is if you have Cinderella, her value, Maiden Ice Rose value is going to skyrocket, especially for anyone that cares about her. So you want to put Cinderella with Rouge on the burst one. Keep in mind, again, Rouge has to be in the position number 1 for this to take effect, right? Because she has a buff that's going to do that. And then you can do Swimsuit Anise right here. Alright, that's going to be the stuff that you can consider. And then you can do like a crown in the middle, or even Nayuta, right? Depending on who you have. You can put Nayuta here, or you can put a crown right here. So both are going to be very, very good. So both are going to work. This is going to be the ideal, extremely strong electric team. Now, obviously, it does depend on the situation if you have this particular team or not, right? Now, if you don't have Swimsuit Anise, you cannot put her here. I mean, ideally you don't want her to burst, right? You want her to be at the end. So please don't put her here. If you don't have Swimsuit Anise, please use another electric characters. There's plenty of other options, right? So one of the few notable one is Ayn. I think she's going to be much more of the free-to-play character. So that's also going to be something that you can consider doing. So this is pretty much the ideal electric team. I would say for Maiden Ice Rose, definitely consider her as an option. I do think that for a lot of cases, you are going to benefit a lot from her just because how strong Cinderella is. Even until today, Cinderella is still the strongest, I would say, the boss DPS character in terms of trying to do damage to bosses, right? I would say Rapid Red Hood comes close second. Rapid Red Hood shines if there's like multiple enemies on the map. But Cinderella shines if there's only one enemy and one boss as a whole, right? So she's just going to be a beast right there. This is going to be something that you can also consider using consistently in more solo raids, right? This could be your 4th team or even your 5th team. If you are like a free-to-play, you don't want to build too many characters or too many different elements, this can be something that you can consider using, even in other situations, and I do like it. I still think you need swimsuit Anis, right? Swimsuit Anis is going to be the one that brings the team out as a whole, because swimsuit Anis is less restrictive compared to somebody like Maiden Ice Rose. Alright, like I mentioned, because she buff electric team as a whole, whereas Maiden Ice Rose buff your elemental property damage, which is going to be reliant on the enemy being water type. So let's talk about Guillotine. Alright, that's going to be one more character that I guess we gotta talk a little bit more about, because I do think that right now seems like the situation or the meta right now does not favor Guillotine, right? Guillotine is going to be a very, like, she's a very odd character, right? Because she is also similar to Maiden Ice Rose. So she has a very similar concept where you can see right here, she basically levels up and she can basically improve all water code allies' superior elemental code attack damage. Very, very similar to Maiden Ice Rose as well, right? And then you can see the same thing goes for her burst skill. She can also do this, affects all water code allies, where she improves the attack damage by 10% and then increase superior elemental code attack damage by 18% right here. So this is going to be somewhat, I would say, in a way, she's going to be pretty much the Maiden Ice Rose, but for the water team. The issue right now is water team has way less characters compared to the electric team. So I think you're definitely gonna get less out of her. So let's have a look, right? If I were to filter out the electric DPS characters, there's quite a number of strong characters right here, including Ayn. Scarlet is also pretty strong, Cinderella, and we recently got two collab characters, which is Ada and Jill. Both are very, very good as well. You can put Maiden Ice Rose in the team with that as well. You can put Jill and Ada, and then Maiden Ice Rose as a third off-burst character. But if you look at water, the best character that we have, sadly, is going to be Swimsuit Dorothy, right? And Swimsuit Dorothy is strong. She's very, very strong, but she's a little bit weird in terms of there's a couple of things that you need to take note about her. Is she's a shotgun character, so that means she can also fit in shotgun teams. So there's less need for you to have Guillotine because of that. That's number one. Number two, she's also a character that does pierce. You can see, right? So basically, she's somebody that just have the pierce for a shotgun. So that means you can also use pierce buffers. There's just way more character that synergizes with her a little bit better than Guillotine does, right? And also, during her banner, during Dorothy's banner, there's one more character that came out same time as her, and that's going to be Swimsuit Elec. Now, Swimsuit Elec, in my opinion, she is the better Guillotine, right? Because she is also going to be, again, very, very similar. You can see right here, superior elemental code attack. She basically buffs the water, basically buffs water character, right? She affects all water code allies as well. She also does a lot of damage on herself by this particular burst skill right here. In my opinion, she is going to be the much more consistent character in terms of if you're trying to build a water team. So it all depends on, I would say right now, there's not much use of Guillotine yet compared to Maiden Ice Rose because of that. Now things may change in the future, like who knows, because like I am predicting that the upcoming Idol Anis perhaps could be a water character. So that's going to be something that we perhaps have to wait and see if that's going to be the case, right? But for the time being, I do think that Guillotine's value is not as high in my humble opinion. Now outside of Swimsuit Doro, who else is going to be strong in the water team, right? So we have somebody like Brady. So Brady is also one of the strongest DPS for the water team. However, she's very, very reliant on activating this special aftertaste, right? So she needs to be in the lingering taste or recommended taste status. So because of that, she's much more of a sustained damage dealer or a distributed damage dealer, depending on the situation, right? The other two characters that we have is going to be Phantom and Quincy. I guess both are decent. They're not the best character. They are not the pilgrim characters. So because of that, there's just not that much value in my opinion right now for the water. Water is probably the weakest element right now, sadly. If you look at all the roster right now, there are some characters that can be used, but there's just not much broken characters. I would say like it does definitely right now. If you look at all the roster right now, we do have a bunch of characters in fire. Quite a lot of characters in Wind as well. Recently we got Liberaglio, Scarlet Black Shadow is always strong, Nayuta is quite strong as well, right? And then I think Electric is also quite high up there. So Water is like right now the weakest element in terms of there's less meta characters as a whole, which does put Guillotine in a weird place, right? It's not like she's bad, it's just that I think her value is going to go up once there are more characters. But for now, I just don't really recommend for it. Now, the problem is, if you don't pull for her now, will she rerun next year, right? That's going to be the problem. I get it, because with all of these limited characters, at the end of the day, you gotta ask yourself, are you here to collect the characters? Or are you here to pull for meta? Because I can only tell you in the perspective of what do we have right now, right? So right now, I can wholeheartedly say that Guillotine, if you don't have her, you're not gonna miss out on her, right? This is coming from somebody that actually owns her. I almost never use her, even if the raids do require some sort of like water DPS characters. There's just way more options that you can basically mix and match. So things might change in the future, right? Like, it's hard to say for sure, but we do get Diesel Winter Suites right now, which in my opinion is a better pull, right? And also Breed is going to be there as well. So Diesel, if you guys haven't watched my previous video, she's literally the top 3 fire character. Now I get it, fire is super stacked right now. There's like Rapi Red Hood, Mihara Bonding Chain, but then again, with all of these combined, I just feel like the value for, you know, for like Guillotine is not really there, right? All in all, I hope you guys make the right decision and try to think carefully. You can ask around on Discord, right? Just go and get a second opinion if you guys are looking for that. But if I were to have a new account today, I'll just get one copy of Maiden Ice Rose and, you know, try to get Diesel Winter Suites. That's going to be the one, and then Breed later on, and start saving for Swimsuit Anis, because that's going to be the very important character. Some could say that Swimsuit Anis is probably not going to be limited. She's going to be available in the wishlist, which, sure, right, that could be like one thing that you can argue, but at the end of the day, all of these limited characters probably don't matter too much if you're not going to use them, right? It's up to you. If you are here for collection, then pull for one copy. If not, then there's no need for you to get too much copies, or just don't need to get them at all, right? So that's going to be for this particular video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and you can see from my point of view as well. Again, feel free to have a discussion in the comment section below. As per usual, if you guys haven't already, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like if you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.